In Daytona Beach, there are two main piers to fish off of. One is the Daytona Beach Pier, and the other is the Sunglow Pier. The Daytona Beach Pier was constructed of palm logs and was built before the turn of the 20th century. It extended 600 feet into the ocean, and it was built by Thomas Keating. This structure was also known as the Keating Pier. On January 20th, 1920, a fire destroyed most of the pier, and in 1924, Keating sold the remains to Jeter McMillan, who tore it down and began the construction of a new pier. This new pier would have a casino, which would open on June 11, 1925. The new pier was 1,000 feet in length and featured a Victorian-style building. During the years of beach racing, some of the pilings were removed to allow race cars to pass under the pier. The Pier Casino was a famous location for photos of racers who came to Daytona, which helped Daytona become the world's most famous beach. The pier changed ownership several times since 1946, which was when McMillan died, and in 2004 it was acquired by the city of Daytona Beach, who leased it. 5 years later, in 2009, the city took operational control of the pier and completely refurbished it and sought a long-term tenant for the casino building. This led to Joe's Crab Shack, which opened in 2012. Although close, the Sunglow Pier has many differences that cannot be compared to the Daytona Beach Pier. For example, the Sunglow Pier has always been privately owned, has the advantage of youth over the Daytona Beach Pier, and it opened in 1960. For approximately 20 years, until the 1980s, it was a fishing pier. In the 1970s, the Sunglow Pier had two buildings. One had a game room with pinball machines and pool tables, and another with a restaurant that served sandwiches and popcorn. The pier was constructed from old railroad ties from Flagler County, and on Thanksgiving Day in 1984, the steel structure collapsed into the ocean. Since then, the owners have invested time and money in attempting to bring it back to its former glory. They say it will have another 100 years to service to the community, and hopefully even more. Pier fishing is considered one of the top 10 things to do in Daytona Beach. Why do you fish at the pier?
It's fun.
What season do you enjoy fishing in the most? When it's hot? What kind of gear do you have?
Everything. Fishing poles, mud trailer, all of that stuff.
Nice. What time would you say is when you catch the most fish?
Early morning or night time. Right now. 6 o'clock in the morning or
Thank you. The first one is, why do you fish at the pier?
Because I enjoy fishing.
Okay. What season do you enjoy the most fishing in?
Usually April, May, we catch a lot of flounder. More, I like it better, you know. I like to catch a flounder.
Yeah. What kind of gear do you have?
What kind of what?
Kind of gear?
Gear?
Yeah.
The reel?
Like fishing pole,
Fishing pole,
tackle box?
Shimano, fish reel. That's
Alright.
a good one.
Then what time of day would you say is when you catch the most fish?
I come when I come. I never look at the tide. Usually, like they say, early in the
Yeah.
morning, late in the evening. I just come when I come.
Okay, thank you. After interviewing the first two anglers, I walked around and asked different anglers how their day was going. Some said they were catching a lot of fish, while others didn't have that sort of luck. Although some anglers weren't catching anything, there was a friendly angler who was catching fish and invited her friend who wasn't catching as much as she was to her fishing spot. That way he would have a chance at catching something. There is a friendly ambiance at the pier, and everyone has a different story as to why they fish there. Although people were catching fish left and right, recently pier fishing has brought a decline in fish catches, and it's probably because of overfishing. This is why the FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, has a set of limits on the size of fish that can be caught. For example, any flounder fish that is caught cannot be smaller than 12 inches, or else it's an illegal keep, as well as keeping more than 10 per day.